Hello there, this is Mr. Knowles, and I'm going to show you how to set up a program for the Clawbot. Now, the Clawbot has four motors. Two of them are for the wheels, one of them is for the arm, and the other is for the claw. There are a couple of changes I need you to make. I know you've made some already, but let's go ahead and take care of this. The most important change has to do with the text functions here. And what I need you to do is go up to Robot, and you've been here before. Go to Platform Type, and then when it opens up, go down to the bottom, and where I had you click on Natural Language 2.0, go up and click on Natural Language PLTW. Now there are more functions here, but there are going to be some more useful ones that I think will make better choices. I think it'll make more sense to you. Alright, now I already have my Cortex plugged in and turned on, and what I'm going to do first is download the firmware. So going up here and click, and you should hear that sound. We'll tell it OK, and it should only take a couple of seconds. This is something I recommend doing every day just to make sure things are updated. You may actually have to do it while you're working on a program, but this should just take another second. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to click New File. There's not a sample program that's really good that we're going to use, and so that shows our first work area. I'm going to have you go to Motor and Sensor Setup first. Now, you can put your motors and sensors where you like, but I have some recommendations so that the Clawbots are consistent from one class to the other. So we're going to leave port 1 alone. Port 2 and 3, we're going to change no motor to 3-wire motor. And actually, let's go ahead and do that with 4 and 5. So our 4 motors are going to be here in ports 2, 3, 4, and 5. In port 2, I want you to put left wheels, or you can actually call it whatever you like, as long as it helps you to find which one you have. I'm going to capitalize that just to add a little to it. Notice that I'm not using any spaces. That's kind of important. I'm going to call the arm and the claw, we're going to call it claw. Now, one thing you'll need to do is make sure that these motors correspond to what each one is for. In other words, go to the left wheel and make sure that the wire coming from the left wheel motor is going to port 2. Make sure the right wheel wire is going to port 3, and the same thing with the arm and the claw. It might be a little tricky trying to work your way through the twist ties, but make sure that you have the right ones. If for some reason you don't have the right ones, you'll see that when you start to run the program. Now, excuse me, I'm going to click Apply, but I'm going to stay on this because I need to go over to the digital sensor. Now, you've got analog sensors, you've got digital. We're using digital today, and this is for the push button. Now, there may be other touch sensors on your Clawbot, but for now we're just going to be concerned with this particular one. I'm going to call this button, and I'm going to go, instead of no sensor, I'm going to go to touch. So the touch will work whether it's a limit switch or a bumper switch, yes, and because they basically do the same thing. So I'm going to click Apply again, and then OK. Now, up at the top of the page, you should see 3 things. Can't seem to count today. There are 5 things in blue and red that begin with the hash mark pragma, and this shows where each thing is. Now, the sensor, we have it in digital 1. That means that it needs to be plugged into the Cortex in the digital section in number 1. Please don't think that this is digital 11. The L In digital, DGTL in that abbreviation, that is the letter L, not a 1. These look very, very much alike. So it's only the single number there. And notice here, we called it button. Over here on this one, we call it left wheels. That's in port 2. The next one, we call it right wheels in port 3. And then arm, that was a mistake. Then arm is here, and that's in port 4. And claw is in port 5. Alright, that's going to be important to refer to later on. Now, one of the things we're going to do is make sure that we leave these two curly brackets alone. Everything in the program has to go between these. And if you happen to delete one or something, you need to make sure you put that back or the program won't run. This tells the computer where the beginning and the end are in the program. Now, we're going to go over to the text functions, and I'm just going to kind of demonstrate what we're going to do without stopping to explain every little line. We're going to be using natural language, so I'm going to click that, and there are more useful choices than with the other natural language that we used. And the first thing we're going to do is just start the motor. Now, this program will not include the use of the push button. We're just leaving that off right now and just doing the 4 motors. So I'm going to go to movement, and you have set servo, start motor, stop motor. We do not have servo motors. Notice that when I move my cursor here, it opens up a box that gives you a brief idea of what this is about. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to click and I'm going to drag it in place there, and I'm going to change the motor port. Now watch how I do this. I'm going to double click that. I didn't have to click and drag, just double clicked it, and I'm going to make sure that the motor port that I put in is for the left wheels, which is up here. Now, I do not have to hit the backspace button to delete that. You don't need to delete it. When it's highlighted like this, you simply have to type in the next word. That'll save you a lot of time. And what I'm going to do is type LEFTWHEELS. Now, make sure that you spell it exactly the same way it's spelled up there. You will not have to type this every time that you need to put left wheels in the program. I'll show you that in a little bit. The speed, we're going to go slow. Remember, the speed can be anywhere from -127 to +127. I'm going to change it to 30. And again, notice how I double click that. Excuse me. And as instead of deleting, I just put in the number 30. Make sure that this semicolon remains there. That tells the program that that's the end of that particular line. And also make sure that the 2 parentheses are still there. Alright, I'm going to hit enter, and I want to click start motor again. Now I can click and drag this across like this, or I can just take this, copy it. I'm pressing Control C. I'm going to click down there and then Control V, and there it is. Now really all I need to do is just change this left to right. You can do it however you like, but to me that's pretty fast. I'm going to go to the end again. So now I have start motor left wheels, start motor right wheels. And I'm going to have it wait for 2 seconds. What that means is that when this turns on, when these motors turn on, they're going to run for 2 seconds. That's not a real long time, but it's enough to get a program down where you can test it. You don't want to put like 30 or 60 or 80 seconds on it, okay, because with 2 seconds you can just kind of sit in the same place, let it run for 2 seconds, reach out and grab it. You don't have to chase it across the room. So I'm going to wait, and fortunately we're back to wait in seconds and milliseconds again, which I think you'll like. I'm going to go to wait time, and I'm going to double click wait time, and I'm just putting the number 2 in. That's all you have to do. You need to go to the next line. Now don't just click enter right here, because that'll take the parentheses down there and confuse you. Go to the end of the line again, press enter, and wait 2 seconds. Now what we're going to do is we're going to stop the motors. So I'm going to go over here and click stop motor and motor port. So all I need to do is double click that, and we want to stop the left wheels. So watch what I do here. Now I've already highlighted this. I don't need to delete it. All I need to do is start typing LIGHTMOTOR. Now S. And I just typed the wrong thing. So pretend that I didn't do that. What I need to do is type in light wheels. And my brain seems to have gone to sleep. I'm trying to look at two screens at the same time here. So light wheels, left, oh boy, left wheels. Now what I could also have done was gone up here where it's already typed, copy it, Control C, and I'm going to put it in here, and I'm going to press Control V, which is pasting. Now let's see if I can explain this one better. I'm simply going to copy this, although I could go over and click Stop Motor again. I'm going to press Control V, and really I'm just changing left wheels to right wheels. And then I'm going to hit Enter. Okay, so we have part of a program. We only have two different wheels going right now, but before we do the arm and the Clawbot, let's just see if that works. So what I'm going to do is I've already downloaded the firmware. I'm going to make sure that everything's plugged in correctly. My motors are in 2 and 3. My left and right wheels. USB is plugged in. So I'm going to click Compile Program. Sometimes you'll get some error messages here, and we'll talk about that later. And I'm going to click Download to Robot. You may get some messages you have to take care of. And I'll click Start, and you might be able to hear the motors through my microphone. Okay, good. So both wheels ran for 2 seconds. I'm going to check it again just to make sure. Yep, they're both working. Now if one of them doesn't work, check to see if things are plugged in properly into the right ports. Make sure all the wires are connected, like the motor controller to the motor wire. Make sure your power is on. Make sure the USB is plugged in. But at least now we know if it works. We know that this part of the program works. You've got two wheels that go. You may find that the wheels don't go in the same direction. Well, the way to change that, there are a couple of ways. If you know which motor is going the wrong way, you can go up here. Let's say it's the left wheel. Left wheels actually. You can change that 30 to a negative, and that will make it go the same speed, just in opposite direction. Then you can go up and click Compile Program, Download, and then try it again. Another way that you can do that is to go back up to the motor setup and in the motor and sensor setup, go back to the motor tab, and for the left and right wheels there's a column over here called reversed, and you can, whichever one you think is going the wrong way, put a check in that box. That will automatically make the motor go in the opposite direction. Now do either this or the negative. Okay, and it may be this one also. Don't do both, because then you'll kind of cancel each other out. So we have our motors working. Now I'm going to go back down to line 15, or if you're not on 15, that's okay. I'm going to hit Enter only so that we can separate things. You don't really have to, but this might make a little bit more sense. Alright, so now we're going to start the arm. Now the motors for the wheels are going to stop, so the Clawbot will be standing still, and we're going to try the arm. So I'm going to go back to Start Motor, and I can go back to Natural Language and Movement, and I can click Start Motor. I can also go to where I have Start Motor up here, and I can copy and paste it. You can right click and click Copy, press Control C, but I'm going to put it down here and then paste it. Now, as I said before, I could also go over to Start Motor, click and drag it in place, and then change the motor port and speed. Now I'm going to double click motor port, and I'm going to start typing the word arm. Now sometimes when you do this, it will automatically come up. If you look at this menu, if you go down to here, the word arm is already there. You can just click that and it will put it in place. Not a big deal if it's a short word like arm, but if it's a longer command or function, it saves you a lot of time. Now for speed, I'm just going to double click that again. For speed, I'm going to put -20. Now you may need to change this with your particular Clawbot, but this is assuming that the arm, which is the part that raises and lowers the claw, that the arm is vertical. So the part that's connected to the gears, that part should be vertical, and that should work pretty well. And again, you may need to change that. For now, we'll try it here, and I'm going to click wait for 2 seconds. Again, I can go to wait time, or I already have it up here, so I'll just copy it. Now don't click and drag it, or you won't have it here. But copy it, Control C, or right click and click copy. Come down here and paste it, and hit enter. So we have the motor for the arm is going to start, and it's going to run for 2 seconds. After 2 seconds, I want it to stop. So stop motor. Again, I can go over here, stop motor, click and drag it, or I could just click this, copy it, and paste it, and then I simply need to change left wheels to arm. Now I'm going to press the letter A and then R, and arm comes up again. Hit enter, and it should appear. So now what we have is we have the motors up here that we know are working by now, and what this will do, once the motor stops, it is going to run the arm for 2 seconds. And so I'm going to go ahead and compile the program. Excuse me. Download a robot, and it's taking its sweet old time, but you'll have that. And I'm checking a wire here that I need to make sure that I put in. This is called dead time, when you're sitting there waiting for the teacher and he's not talking. But I think I'm ready. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click start, and the 2 wheels should start, but then in a little bit you'll hear another motor. So start, they're the 2 wheels stopped, and another motor turned on, which was the arm. Now of course you can't see that from here, but the arm should move to approximately the position where the claw is down just above the floor. If you hear the motor getting to the bottom and it makes kind of a sound, that means the motor is probably on too long. You may need to shorten the time. So you'll just have to try that out. So I'm going to close that. Alright, we are moving along. No pun intended. So we've stopped the arm, and now we're going to go to the claw. Now again, I'm going to hit enter twice here just to separate these different parts so it's a little bit easier to read. And I'm sorry, I have a cold. Sorry, you have to live with that. Actually, I'm going to go back here again under stop motor arm, and I'm actually going to have another wait period. I'm going to wait 2 seconds before the claw actually works. That way it doesn't get to the bottom and automatically open. So I'm going to copy wait again for 2 seconds, and then I'm going to jump down to the next 2 spaces, and now we're going to do start motor for the claw. I'm just going to copy one of the start motors up here. Again, I could go to the natural language and go to movement, but I'm in kind of a copy mood, so I'll copy, click paste, and I need to change which motor it is. and we want the one that's called claw. So CL, and lo and behold, the first one that comes up is the word claw. Hit enter. Boom, there it is. Alright, for the claw motor, I'm going to have the speed at 30, which if you copied up here, it's the same. If not, change that to 30. So now, I recommend that you pay attention to whether the claw is open or closed. I'll let you figure that out, because when this motor works, it's going to go in one direction. If it's closed, hopefully it will open, but I'm going to let you try to figure that out, how you want it to work. Okay, I'm just showing you the program. You can work out the details. So we have start motor claw, and again, this may need to be a negative number, but we'll let you figure that out. I'm going to wait again, so I can either copy a wait, or I can click on here and drag, and either way. So the wait time, we're just going to make that 1 second. So the claw is going to start at the speed of 30. It's going to wait for 1 second. After 1 second, we're going to stop the motor. I'm going to click this, copy it, paste it here, and I need to change arm to claw, capital C, L, it's already on there, hit enter. So now it'll stop the motor. So the claw will stop. It'll either open or close. You figure that part out. I'm going to have it wait for 1 second because I don't want it to just open and close right away. So I'm going to press Control C and Control V, and actually instead of 1 second, I think I'm going to change that to 2 seconds. So the claw is going to be stationary for 2 seconds after it runs the first time. I'm going to hit enter again, and we're going to start the motor. In fact, we're going to do something similar. We're going to start the motor, wait, and then stop the motor. So I'm going to click or drag over this, and I'm going to copy this whole thing. See, once you start getting these programs written and they're repetitive things, it goes much faster. I'll paste it in place. Now, start motor, claw, that's okay, but we need to reverse the motor. So whatever it is here, we need to reverse it. So I'm going to make it negative in this case. And we're going to wait 1 second, and oh, I'm sorry, actually we're going to change that. If you are closing the claw, there's less friction it just moves easier because there's a spring in there and some mechanical things, so it actually will go faster. So I'm going to make that 0.5, which is a half second, and this part's okay. Stop motor claw. You've got your curly bracket there, you have it back at the beginning, and you should be able to go ahead and compile the program and download it. So basically what should happen with your Clawbot when you start it is it should move forward for should start the motor, move forward for 2 seconds, and then those wheels will stop. Then the arm will turn on, and it should take it from a vertical position down approximately 90 degrees until the claw is level with the floor. Once the arm is there, it waits 2 seconds, and then the motor will start. The claw motor will start. It'll run for 1 second and then stop. It'll wait another 2 seconds. Then the motor will start again for the claw. It'll go the opposite direction. It'll only go for a half second. And after a half second, the motor will stop and the program is over. So once you have run that, then you can go and change the variables. If you want to make the wheels go faster or slower, or you want something to turn, you can do that. Now, if you want something to go beyond this, for example, if you want to pick something up with the claw, well, once the claw closes like this, I just let a little secret out. Once this closes the claw, then figure out what you want to have happen again. If you want it to pick it up, then you should probably use the arm to pick it up. If you want it to go somewhere, then you go back to the wheels. So this is a beginning program, but it gives you a pretty good foundation for doing other things with the Clawbot. And then later, if you want to incorporate the push button, you can do that as well. So I'm going to head out of here. Actually, one of my classes is going to be here in just a couple minutes. And I also, when you write this program, what I recommend is that you save it. Save it to the desktop and name it something that you'll recognize that's different from what other people have. And I think you should be okay. All right. Thanks for putting up with me, and I will talk to you later.